Look closely at the vehicles lining your office lot tomorrow morning, because they are actively telling a hidden story about who is actually building wealth and who is merely faking it.
Every single morning at precisely 8:47, Marcus glides into the corporate parking structure, driving a glossy, midnight, black luxury SUV he acquired on a heavy 3-year lease.
His financial obligation on that specific vehicle sits at $839 each month, a commitment he locked himself into less than a year ago.
He purposely selects the most visible spot right outside the main glass lobby, ensuring that anyone glancing out from the executive boardrooms on the upper floors notices his arrival.
Marcus functions as a junior strategist within the company's regional marketing division, pulling in a stable salary of $94,000 annually.
Whenever prospective accounts tour the facility, he volunteers to guide them out, ensuring they catch a glimpse of his premium German ride before they depart.
To him, this automobile isn't simple transportation. It serves as a rolling business card meant to project executive status, backed by monthly liabilities he can scarcely cover.
Meanwhile, Evelyn pulls her vehicle into a dim corner on the lower level around 8:22 a.m.
She operates a metallic gray sedan from the 2020 model year, which she purchased second-hand 3 winters ago for a flat payment of $22,400 in cash.
A minor scratch marks the driver, side door panel, an imperfection she completely disregards because it has absolutely zero impact on the mechanical efficiency of the motor.
Evelyn occupies a senior role in the exact same enterprise, serving as the director of operational logistics.
Her annual compensation hovers around $112,000.
Here is the brutal reality. Marcus possesses a total net worth of exactly $17,000, plagued by revolving credit balances, high-end vehicle lease terms, a signature loan for a European getaway he took last July, and a small retirement fund holding roughly $8,200 because he caps his personal savings rate at 2%.
Evelyn sits on a net worth exceeding $1 million. One individual projects the illusion of abundance, while the other genuinely commands it.
They inhabit the exact same corporate space and take home comparable paychecks, yet the massive gulf separating their financial trajectories is forged by decades of opposing small micro choices.
Do you want to see where that divergence initially crystallized? The definitive answer is resting right there on the asphalt every single day.
One prioritized superficial prestige, the other prioritized capital accumulation. The vehicle choice was the precise fork in the road. This deep dive uncovers the underlying reasons why the truly affluent population consistently chooses automobiles that would utterly shock the average observer. They do this not because they lack the capital to purchase top-tier luxury, but because their psychological framework surrounding money operates on a plane entirely separate from ordinary consumer habits. For them, a vehicle serves as the most transparent indicator of the fiscal philosophy that generated their prosperity in the first place.
Let us break down the underlying data. According to historical wealth metrics, the median amount allocated by self-made millionaires for their most recent automobile acquisition was just $31,367.
If we isolate individuals possessing a net worth exceeding $10 million, that number only ticks up slightly to $41,997.
Let that sink in for a moment. Right now, the average price tag for a new automobile transaction across the country has surged past $48,000.
This reveals an astonishing paradox. The typical consumer is allocating significantly more capital toward a depreciating asset than the average actual millionaire.
A comprehensive automotive demographic study revealed that a staggering 61% of households generating an annual income north of $250,000 drive everyday brands like Toyotas, Hondas, and Fords.
Think about that specific metric.
These are high-earning households pulling in $250,000 every single year.
People who possess the liquid capability to purchase a premium luxury rover without blinking, yet
Vast majority choose to commute in an ordinary sedan, a compact commuter, or a standard pickup truck.
Merely 39% of those elite earners opted for luxury European or domestic badges.
The most prevalent automotive manufacturer found among verified millionaires is Toyota, closely followed by Honda, with Ford capturing the third position. Hi, and names like Mercedes and BMW did not even enter the rankings until the 4th and 5th spots, respectively.
Furthermore, a minor 5% of wealthy individuals owned a vehicle from the current calendar year.
The data shows that over half of these affluent drivers operated vehicles that were older than 2 years.
The standard profile of a millionaire's daily driver is a 4-year-old vehicle showing approximately 41,000 miles on the odometer.
These individuals are not constrained by a lack of purchasing power. Rather, they grasp a fundamental economic reality that modern consumer culture works tirelessly to obscure.
Outside of residential real estate, automobiles represent the single most aggressive destroyer of personal wealth in the modern economy.
Yet, unlike real estate, which holds the structural capacity to gain value over extended horizons, an automobile aggressively loses its worth the exact second you sign your name on the title.
A brand new car sheds roughly 20% of its market value during its initial 12 months on the road.
By the 5th year of ownership, that equity has eroded by roughly 40%.
By the 7th year, the vast majority of consumer vehicles are worth less than 1/3 of their original showroom sticker price. By the close of 2025, the typical monthly automotive loan obligation soared to $767, with a massive segment of the population taking on monthly liabilities exceeding $1,000. Extended terms spanning 84 months, 7 continuous years of high interest payments are rapidly becoming the baseline standard. Consequently, millions of hard-working people are trapped making massive monthly payments on an asset that is worth significantly less than the principal balance they still owe to the bank.
They are drowning underwater on an asset that is actively decaying, pouring liquid cash into a black hole instead of channeling those funds into income-producing assets that compound over time.
Let us look directly at the mathematical proof, because this is where the financial destruction becomes undeniable.
Marcus chooses to lease his premium SUV at a rate of $839 per month. Throughout his 36-month contract, he hands over a total of $3,204 in hard-earned capital.
When the contract expires, he walks away with absolutely zero equity.
He returns the keys and immediately enters another high-end lease because accepting a more modest vehicle would feel like an embarrassing social downgrade.
He is on pace to repeat this behavioral pattern for 30 years of his professional life, sacrificing roughly $800 every single month for a machine he will never actually own.
Evelyn bought her reliable sedan for a flat $22,400 using liquid cash. She intends to operate that exact machine for a full 8 years.
When you factor in routine mechanical service, insurance variations, and the initial purchase price, her comprehensive cost of vehicle ownership breaks down to roughly $330 per month over the
duration of her usage. At the 8-year mark, the car remains perfectly functional.
She sells it privately for $9,000, rolls that capital into another quality pre-owned sedan for $23,000, and restarts the process.
The true cost of status is the wealth you never get to build. The net difference between Marcus's approach and Evelyn's strategy is approximately $500 every single month.
If you take that $500 monthly difference and route it into an index fund yielding a standard 8% average annual return over a 30-year professional window, that capital expands into roughly
$745,000. Let that exact figure resonate in your mind. $745,000.
This is not some abstract theory or optimistic projection. It is the mathematical reality of the gap between an aggressive luxury car payment and a practical automotive strategy compounded across age.
Working career, it represents the clear line between entering your golden years with absolute autonomy or entering them with severe financial panic.
It is the literal difference between achieving true financial sovereignty at age 60 or remaining completely dependent on a paycheck until age 75, all dictated by the metal machine sitting in your
driveway right now, which was likely selected to impress individuals you do not even respect.
Evelyn's $1. 1 million net worth was not the product of an exotic trading loop or a lucky generational windfall.
Data confirms that 88% of modern millionaires are completely self-made, and Evelyn fits that profile perfectly.
She engineered her net worth by maintaining a wide gap between her income and her lifestyle expenses, and her garage is precisely where she defends that gap from eroding.
Her practical approach to vehicles alone accounts for roughly $600,000 of her aggregate net worth, meaning over half of her total wealth stems from one recurring operational decision she made decades ago and simply replicated every 8 years. Studies show that 94% of wealthy individuals consistently live significantly below their financial means.
Interestingly, only 31% maintained a six-figure salary over the course of their careers. 1/3 of them never cleared the $100,000 income mark in any single professional year.
The leading 5 occupations among surveyed millionaires were engineers, accountants, educators, mid-level managers, and attorneys.
Educators, a demographic universally recognized as structurally underpaid, regularly appear on millionaire lists far more often than medical specialists or high-tech executives.
Why? Because the specific job title does not dictate the wealth outcome. The size of the savings gap does, and the automobile is where the average consumer completely destroys that gap.
While this content is purely educational, you must realize why the automobile separates long-term financial outcomes more cleanly than almost any other spending habit.
It boils down to 3 primary dimensions. The first dimension is sheer magnitude.
Outside of a primary mortgage, a car payment represents the second heaviest monthly line item in the typical household budget.
A payment of $767 per month easily eclipses what the average family spends on basic nutrition, personal investments, or liquid savings.
When this single line item is inflated by hundreds of dollars above what is fundamentally required for safe transportation, the excessive consumption completely neutralizes every other positive
Financial habit.
You could systematically eliminate every digital subscription, brew your morning espresso at home, pack your brown bag lunch every day, and aggressively negotiate your utilities, and the combined
Monthly savings from those lifestyle sacrifices will still fail to match the wealth building power of trading a $900 car payment for a modest alternative.
The automobile is the massive boulder. The daily lattes are just tiny pebbles. Most mainstream financial gurus fixate heavily on the pebbles because they are simple and unthreatening to discuss.
The massive boulder is where the life-changing capital actually resides. The second dimension is total duration.
Unlike a weekend getaway, a luxury dinner, or a designer coat, an automotive liability drains your accounts for consecutive years.
Whether it spans 60, 72, or 84 months, it is a relentless extraction from your monthly cash flow that operates on complete autopilot for nearly a decade.
Because it becomes normalized, your psychology completely habituates to the drain.
By the 6th month of ownership, the pain of the payment vanishes. It simply blends into your monthly baseline, accepted as a mandatory tax for navigating modern life.
But it is not a mandatory tax.
It was a conscious choice, a single decision made during a brief afternoon at a sales desk that now drains your financial potential every month for 7 years, while the underlying asset rapidly
decays. The third dimension is deep social pressure. No other material possession carries the exact same level of external identity validation as an automobile.
Your vehicle is constantly on display for your neighbors, your colleagues, your social circle, the restaurant valet, and your extended family when you visit for the holiday.
It broadcasts a public narrative regarding your income level and your societal success. That narrative is almost always a total fabrication, but the casual observer cannot verify that.
The public sees a luxury vehicle and automatically assumes a high net worth. They look at a 2020 commuter sedan and assume mediocrity.
The social mechanics of vehicle ownership are so deeply hardwired into the modern psyche that the vast majority of individuals would literally prefer to be functionally broke in a prestigious
vehicle than financially secure in a boring one. Marcus belongs to that exact cohort.
His luxury ride demands $839 every month, supplemented by $347 in insurance costs because high. And vehicles require premium coverage plus an extra premium fuel expense of roughly $30 per month.
His total transportation drain exceeds $1,200 monthly against $1.94. Zero salary, meaning roughly 15% of his gross pay, is funneled directly into a collapsing asset.
Standard financial guidelines suggest keeping comprehensive transportation costs below 10% of gross revenue.
Marcus exceeds that safety threshold by 50% every month, only to reset the trap every 3 years.
Evelyn's total monthly automotive footprint, smoothed across her full timeline of ownership, sits right around $480, including depreciation, insurance, fuel, and upkeep.
On her $112,000 salary that equals a mere 5% of her gross income, she operates at half the recommended limit.
The difference between 5% and 15% on a six-figure income range translates to roughly $8,300 every single year.
That represents a massive annual wealth transfer from Marcus's future self over to the leasing corporation, the insurance carrier, and the fuel station year after year, decade after decade.
Meanwhile, Evelyn takes that exact same $8,300 annual surplus and funnels it into a low-cost index fund, allowing it to compound silently until the balance scales beyond comprehension.
There is a profound insight from historical wealth literature that completely reshapes this conversation. Researchers identified a specific segment of the wealthy population classified as habitual use vehicle buyers.
These individuals demonstrated the highest frugality metrics within the data, and they also boasted the highest net worth to income ratios ever recorded.
This means that for dollar, the individuals who bought used vehicles accumulated far more actual wealth than any other subset of high earners.
They allocated a higher percentage of their income toward investments, saved with intense discipline, and remained completely immune to lifestyle creep.
The ultimate conclusion was unequivocal. Being intensely practical with vehicles was a primary reason these individuals became wealthy in the first place.
Their frugality provided the massive capital base required for investment. They were not practical because they were rich. They became rich because they were practical.
The vehicle choice was not a sacrifice of enjoyment. It was the engine of their freedom.
Let us look at real-world examples to observe this fundamental principle playing out at the highest levels of global wealth.
Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in human history, famously operated a 2014 sedan that he bought damaged from a hailstorm.
Think about that choice.
A man possessing a net worth stretching into 12 figures intentionally bought a vehicle featuring cosmetic blemishes because he refused to pay a premium for visual perfection.
Mark Zuckerberg routinely drives modest hatchbacks and entry-level sedans valued in the $25,000 to $35,000 territory. Ingvar Kamprad, the billionaire mastermind behind the IKEA empire, operated a modest 1993 station wagon for over 2 decades.
These choices are not calculated public relations stunts. They are deeply ingrained behavioral patterns that reflect how these minds analyze value.
To them, an automobile is nothing more than a mechanical tool, a structured piece of metal designed to move a human body from point A to point B.
The exact millisecond you convert
that tool into a status statement. You transform it into a massive structural liability.
This liability is not merely financial, it is profoundly psychological because you are now outsourcing your financial security to the opinions of total strangers instead of building true stability.
Modern wealth research continues to validate this exact reality. Surveys of hundreds of actual millionaires confirm that everyday frugality remains their dominant trait.
A definitive truth emerged from these studies, allocating capital far above your means, prioritizing current consumption over long-term security, and spending in anticipation of future wealth turns
you into a complete slave to a monthly paycheck, regardless of how high your salary scales. Performing wealth early ensures you will never actually possess it later.
That specific phrase, spending in anticipation of future wealth, captures Marcus perfectly.
He drives that premium leased SUV because he assumes he is on a guaranteed path to affluence, and he views the vehicle as an advanced screening of his future life.
But the reality is that the vehicle is actively sabotaging that future life from ever manifesting.
Every single dollar that gets routed to the leasing firm is capital that never makes it into his retirement accounts, his investment vehicles, or his compounding brokerage funds.
He is passionately staging the preview while completely destroying the actual feature film.